From January until May, the average employee works entirely for the government. Every dollar earned during those first 5 months goes toward a tax bill before a single cent can be used for food, rent, or savings. For many, the natural response is to work harder, but this often triggers a cycle known as the rat race because of a narrative we've all been taught since childhood, the Robin Hood story. We grow up believing that taxes are a heroic mechanism meant to take from the rich and redistribute to the poor. It's a comforting idea that frames the tax collector as a social equalizer. But relying on this Robin Hood story is why the educated middle class is now the group actually funding the system's growth. While waiting for the rich to be taxed, they remain the ones trapped in the net. If you look at the history of England and America, income taxes were never meant to be a permanent part of life. They were temporary measures, used strictly to fund the costs of major wars. This changed in 1913 with the 16th Amendment, turning income tax into a permanent feature. To gain public support, it was marketed exclusively as a way to punish the wealthy. The masses voted for it, believing only the rich would pay. However, the government's appetite for revenue soon outgrew the pockets of the wealthy. The tax net began to trickle down, slowly expanding until it captured the middle and lower classes as well. The very people who voted for the tax to penalize the rich ended up building the financial cage they live in today. The rich didn't simply accept these new rules. They used their resources to find an escape, reacting to the law rather than just complying with it. They looked back to the era of sailing ships, when the corporation was first used to limit personal risk. If a ship was lost at sea, the rich only lost the money they invested in that specific voyage, rather than their entire fortune. Most people hear the word corporation and instantly picture a massive skyscraper or a factory filled with workers. A corporation is a legal file folder. Inside are documents registered with a state agency. It's a legal body that exists on paper to protect the assets within it. By operating through these folders, the wealthy created a layer of protection between their money and the taxes designed to take it. The gap between the rich and the middle class comes down to two different sets of rules. Employees follow a simple punishing sequence. They earn money, they are taxed immediately, and they try to live on what is left. The corporate rulebook flips the script. A corporation earns money, spends everything it can on pre-tax business expenses, like travel, cars, and insurance, and is only taxed on whatever is left over. This structure allows money to flow through a system that is entirely separate from an individual's personal income statement. This earn-spend tax cycle is the most significant legal loophole used by the wealthy to keep their wealth intact. Moving from the employee rulebook to the corporate one requires a shift in education. You have to trade the idea of a secure job for what is known as financial IQ. It starts with accounting. You need the literacy to read numbers and identify the specific strengths and weaknesses of any business or investment. Next is investing, the science of money making money. This involves the strategies and formulas used to identify opportunities. Then you must understand markets, the supply and demand trends driven by both economic data and human emotion. Finally, you need a grasp of the law. This is the knowledge of how to use a corporation to maximize tax advantages and protect your assets from creditors. When these four skills work together, that legal file folder becomes a tool that scales wealth significantly faster than an individual paycheck ever could. By using these structures, the wealthy achieve a specific goal. They control everything, but personally own nothing. This makes them nearly immune to lawsuits and the heaviest forms of taxation. The middle class, by contrast, tries to own everything in their own names. This leaves every asset they have exposed to government extraction and legal claims. If you want to escape the tax trap, you have to stop clinging to the perceived safety of a paycheck, learn the rules of the rich, and start building your own shield.